to a third video where we are reviewing sentence types. And in this video, I'm going to be reviewing complex sentences and then compound complex sentences. Now, if you have not watched the simple sentence video or the compound sentence video, I really recommend you go check those out first and then come back to the complex video, because I've built on those things to get to this point. So let's talk about complex sentences. And again, you're going to want to use complex sentences for sentence variety. It's going to make your writing more interesting, and it gives you some more options for flipping around parts of the sentence. Now, a complex sentence is what we call an independent clause plus a dependent clause. So let's review those two terms real quick. An independent clause is simply a subject and a predicate, and if you remember, that is a simple sentence. So it's just like these two right here that I used in the last video. I'm bringing them back because I can do the same things as I did for the compound with a complex. Simple sentence would be, I'm afraid of heights, or I stay off the tops of buildings. Now, again, this is called an independent clause, subject predicate. It's also called a complete sentence. And then we have this as a simple sentence as well. So you have to have an independent clause plus a dependent clause. Now with the dependent clause, what you're basically doing is you're taking an independent clause and you're making it dependent. So how does that work? Well, there's what's called the subordinating conjunction. And I put it down here as well. A dependent clause is a subordinating conjunction with a simple sentence. So there's all kinds of subordinating conjunctions, right? Since is one, unless, because, as soon as. There's quite a variety of them, and if you just do a quick Google search of subordinating conjunctions, you're going to find 20 or more. So the idea here would be, because I'm afraid of heights, comma, I stay off the tops of buildings. So here's what happened right there. I took the word because as a subordinating conjunction, put it in front of this independent clause, and now together that's a dependent clause. Why is it dependent? Because you can't just say that to somebody. If I went up to you and I said, because I'm afraid of heights, you would be waiting for the rest of the thought. And so if you had a teacher that ever said, don't start a sentence with because, well, maybe they didn't think your elementary school brain would be able to finish the sentence. But this is the idea. All you have to do with the dependent clause is finish the thought. So if the dependent clause is at the beginning of the sentence, then you have to offset it by a comma. And so that's another good rule. When you see a comma, you have to see what's going on either side. I look to the left of this comma, I can see there's a subject and a predicate. Right there, it's a simple sentence, but the word because is leading it off, and therefore it's a dependent clause. On the other side of this comma is a subject and a predicate, simple sentence, but it is an independent clause. So dependent plus independent equals simple. Now, it does not have to come at the beginning. And in fact, oftentimes dependent clauses come at the end. Right? So I could put this here, right, with a little b. I stay off the tops of buildings because I'm afraid of heights. That's oftentimes where we see the dependent clause. So the key word here to look for is like because, and to see that there's another subject. The subject repeats twice in this sentence. So something is happening here. That's my indicator that something is happening on either side, and therefore this becomes the dependent clause. This is a complex sentence. Right? So when you look at this, you realize, okay, this can go the front of the begin or the back, but this, either place that it is a dependent clause making this a complex sentence. Now, what happens with people getting confused is you don't always see a subject at the after like a word because. Because can also be a prepositional phrase. Because of my fear of heights. My fear of heights now is just a subject, but there's no predicate. This is now a prepositional phrase, and so now this is a simple sentence. And that's what messes with people's minds. So there's not much difference, right? I'm saying the basic same thing, but there's no subject after this. The because is now a preposition, and of my fear of heights is just the the subject and there's no predicate. So it's a simple sentence. So you really have to pay attention what's happening around these kinds of words to be able to get it correct, that it's a simple or it's a complex. All right, so hopefully that covers the idea here for compound and going from compound to complex. And the last one I want to cover is a compound complex sentence. So when we look at a compound complex sentence, there's two ways that this can happen. One, you can have a simple sentence plus a complex sentence. You can have a complex sentence plus a complex sentence, or you can have a compound sentence and a complex sentence. So let's talk about how all of those work. So I stay off the tops of tall buildings because I am afraid of heights. So this is my base complex sentence, right? So from before, simple sentence, subordinating conjunction, simple sentence, making that a dependent clause. So let's go through all of these, and I'll use this as my base. So first of all, a compound complex could be a simple and a complex sentence. And it doesn't matter what order they go in. The complex can be in the front or the simple can be in the front. I stay off the tops of buildings because I am afraid of heights. And then I can add a simple sentences to this. Don't ask me to go to the Empire State Building. Okay. So what I did there is I put a simple sentence, don't ask me, which is a command, and actually that has an implied subject, right? You don't ask me. But to go, prepositional phrase, to the Empire State Building, prepositional phrase. But this right here is a simple sentence. So complex plus simple equals compound complex. Now again, the rule of thumb is, I have a semicolon here. On either side of the semicolon typically is going to be a complete sentence. So I need to see what's happening. On this side of it, I have a complex. All right, so this is a simple compound complex. I can also have a complex and a complex. So the Empire State is scary because, or since it is so tall. All right. So now I have another complex sentence. The word since here takes this simple sentence, it is so tall, and it makes it into a dependent clause. So complex, semicolon, and a complex. So that is a complex plus a complex equals compound complex. And the last one then is a compound complex. So we'll keep my still complex sentence here before the semicolon, and we will add something instead of the since it is so tall dependent clause. We have to add a comma conjunction since I already used the semicolon. So I won't enter it. And now I put a compound here. Simple sentence, the Empire State is scary, so I won't enter it. Simple sentence combined with a comma conjunction. So this is a compound, and I have the complex still here at the front. That's a compound complex. So any way you put those together, you have a compound complex sentence. But the building block is always a simple sentence, independent clause, subject and predicate, and whatever you add to that to still be a simple sentence. You add a simple sentence to it with a comma conjunction or a semicolon, you get a compound, or you add a second simple sentence with a subordinating conjunction, which makes it a dependent clause, and you get a complex sentence. So I'm hoping that that is clear. If you do have any questions, please go ahead and put those in the comments, and I will try to answer those as quickly as possible. But that review hopefully will help you with a few things. Remember, mixing up your sentence types makes your writing more interesting. You want to move some pieces around so that you're not always having a subject, predicate, simple sentence kind of writing. That's rather boring for a reader. You may be sitting down at some point to take a college placement exam, which usually involves grammar, and they give you a sentence and they say, hey, what type of sentence is this? And you can see that knowing these sentence types can really help you know where to use certain punctuation marks and where not to. So until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this video about complex and compound complex sentences. I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel and share. Also, if you missed the simple or the compound sentence type review, this is the playlist to find those in, along with other writing workshop kinds of materials. This is also school related that you might find helpful at some point. And lastly, just for fun. Thanks for checking this out. See you next time.